I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of January 8th, 2018 to order. Roll call, please, Andy.
Garner.
Here.
Bomas.
Present.
Hood.
Here.
Thorstensen.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
6 present.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome to our first meeting of 2018. And first item is public comment. If you'd like to address the board about something that's not on the agenda tonight, you can come to the microphone. If you hear about an agenda item, I will open the floor at that time. You need to come to the microphone? Oh. State your name, please.
My name's Kim Oakland, and I live at 1025 Depot Road. And I just have something here that I wanted to hand out to you guys. Some data that was collected.
Here, if you give it to me, I'll pass it down. Then you can stay at the microphone because it's being recorded.
Okay. And then also some emails that were exchanged between me and the village administrator. And my son Wallace wanted to come with me again today. Thanks.
We were all copied on the memo that was sent to you by the village administrator, so we
Okay,
already
I
have it
didn't
for
know.
the record.
Okay, I just don't know if you guys are aware of the conversations going on. So, we appreciate, my husband and I and my 2 kids and our neighbors appreciate the no littering signs that were installed and are hopeful about the talks this spring that will involve how to make the path and stairs safer, along with the work Public Works will do to clear the overgrowth on the fences facing the street in the spring, summer, and fall. A couple weeks ago, we asked the village administrator how we could be a part of the conversation that would involve the decision of whether or not to lower the speed limit on Depot Road from 30 miles an hour to 25. Since speed bumps are not allowed, then lowering the speed limit is the best way to curtail speeding and making the street safer for pedestrians. He responded with the process of how speed limits are decided, but did not answer the question. So we ask again, how can we be a part of the conversation? At the last meeting, I stated that I feel email is an inefficient and insufficient way to communicate, as this again has turned into a debate and not a conversation about my concerns, our concerns. Also, the data on the handout states how many driveways are on the street, but not how many units belong to each driveway. This is one of the reasons why we want to be a part of the conversation. The data collected does not take into account the unique characteristics of Depot. Perhaps a committee can be created consisting of someone from engineering, a board member, myself, and other Depot Road residents to work on a plan. Since Depot Road with its walking path and stairs has already been declared unsafe, we suggest at the very least that the speed limit be lowered to 25 until the problem is fixed. Much like how the speed limit is lowered during a construction project for a designated period of time, so should the speed limit until the street is safer to walk on and the stairs are repaired. Thank you for your time and working with us, and please be in touch.
Thank you. Any other public comment? If not, then I'm going to move on to approval of the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee Garner. Roll call, please, Andy.
Garner.
Aye.
Bomas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right, motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the December 18, 2017 meeting. Item number 2, approval of setting bid date of February 21st, 2018 for the Almond Road water main crossings. Item number 3, approval of payroll for period ending December 22nd, 2017 in the amount of $809,468.57. Item number 4, approval of bills for period ending January 8, 2018 in the amount of $4,995,744.45.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the
So
consent
moved.
agenda as
Second.
read into the record? Motion by Trustee Garner, second by Trustee Jacobs. Roll call, Andy.
Garner.
Aye.
Bomas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
6 aye.
Motion carries. We'll move on to petitions and communications. The first is in a proclamation for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day on January 15th, 2018. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia on January 15, 1929, and has made a lasting impression as a key leader in the American Civil Rights Movement during the 1950s and 1960s. And Dr. King's outstanding leadership, inspiring speeches, and diligent efforts on behalf of our nation's at-risk and minority population have encouraged millions of Americans to share his dream of civil equality and to bring this dream closer to reality. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day honors Dr. King's legacy each year in January and focuses on bringing people together to break down the barriers that have divided us as a nation. And the Village of Gurnee continues its commitment to the elimination of racism and all forms of discrimination, as well as the development of an inclusive society for all people. Now, therefore, I, Christina Kvark, Mayor of the Village of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim January 15th, 2018 to be Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the Village of Gurnee. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee Ross. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. And there is a Martin Luther King Day celebration Sunday evening. There's 4 mayors and 4 communities coming together. If you're interested, let me know, because I don't have the details right in front of me, or contact Donna. So it'll be, or we did it last year, and it was really a very heartwarming celebration of the 4 communities together. Or you can send it out to them. Okay. All right. Next up is approval of the mayor's recommended appointment of Police Chief Kevin Woodside to the Northeast Lake County Consolidated Emergency Telephone Systems Board with a term that would end January 2020. The vacancy was created by the retirement of our Deputy Police Chief, Sandra Campbell. You have a memo from Patrick with all the other people that sit on that board. Questions for Patrick?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All right, I have a motion from Trustee Balmas, a second from Trustee Garner. Roll call, please, Andy.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right. Congratulations, Kevin. All right, we'll move on to reports. The first one is a report by our Finance Director, Brian Gosnell, on our second quarter fiscal year 17-18 financial performance.
All right, thank you,
I
Mayor.
can jump into it.
Sorry, included in the materials, the second quarter financial report. This covers period ending October 31st, 2017. With 6 months under our belt, we get a little better idea of where we're heading throughout the year. The first quarter report's more timing related, but we have a few more items to talk about for this report. Before we get into the numbers, just where we're at in the process. Fiscal year 17 is complete with the CAFR in October. This is a second quarter report for fiscal year 18. Fiscal year 19 planning is in full swing with the completion of the 2 long-term planning elements, the multi-year forecast and the capital plan. And then budget preparation is underway right now at the staff level. Looking at cash and investments at October 31st, finished the quarter at $34.7 million. General fund made up 69% of that, water and sewer fund 12%, and the capital fund 8%. 30% of cash on hand was held in Illinois Fund's money market account, 40% in a checking/money market account at First Midwest. And I say checking/money market because, if you recall, at the first quarter we talked about reopening that money market account with the rise in interest rates. We were able to do that at First Midwest, so we now have that relationship there too. And then 30% in the short-term fixed income investments that are held by Schwab. Versus 91-day T-bill rate of 1.13, the village portfolio is earning weighted average of 1.215. It's meeting our benchmark there. Looking at major revenues in the general fund here, and if you recall, these make up about 75% of all revenues in total. Finished the quarter 2.29% ahead of the seasonally adjusted budget, about 0.69% ahead of last year. One of the primary weaknesses we're seeing is sales tax. Finished the quarter 1.56% behind budget and 1.7% behind last year. This trend does continue into the third quarter. We haven't seen the January numbers yet, but at least for the first 2 months of the third quarter, this trend does continue. It's also compounded by a supplemental payment that the state had made from home rule sales tax that we did not qualify for this year. It's about $155,000 impact to sales tax. So we'll see that impact in the third quarter as well. So I think it's safe to say at this point, sales tax will likely not make the budget mark for the end of the year. So
But we haven't seen December yet, right?
we have not.
Okay.
So we could be very surprised by holiday sales, and hopefully we are, and that makes up some of that. But as it stands right now, we could be looking at a negative variance at the end of the year here. Income taxes well ahead of budget again, but this is due to 2 additional payments made by the state. If you recall, during the whole budget discussion at the state level, there was a 10% reduction in income taxes distributed to municipalities. To make up for that, they accelerated 2 payments that they had held back about 5-6 years ago. So on a cash basis during this fiscal year, we should be a positive variance. We'll see that impact of the 10% next year, but it's only because of those 2 payments. Use taxes continue to outperform both budget and last year. Telecom taxes are declining less than anticipated. Amusement taxes performed strong through the third quarter, finished the season about 2.6% ahead of budget, so strong performance there. Food and beverage we've talked about before, strong sales there. Hotel taxes versus last year are down about 39.6%. You can see on the slide, but that's the Key Lime Cove impact. Versus budget, they're actually up 3.68, so that's positive. And of course, building department, David continues to hold strong and keep us afloat here. Looking at the general fund, a lot of the things are, other than what I've already mentioned, are typically timing related. Taxes finished the quarter 59.63% of budget. That's the timing of the road and bridge taxes. License and permits, timing of the business and liquor licenses, which happened December, January actually, right now. Intergovernmental revenues finished the quarter at 50.13% of budget. This is timing of replacement tax and actually an energy efficiency grant that Public Works was able to acquire that was unanticipated. Charges for service, this is timing of the water and sewer administrative fee and then the Zion dispatch services. Fines and forfeitures, red light enforcement, and iDrop. And then obviously rising interest rates help out our interest and contributions account. On the expenditure side, contractual services finished the quarter 53.2% of budget. That's timing of seasonal contracts. And in the other contractual services category, finished the quarter at 73.27%. That's the timing of the liability insurance premiums there. And then the other financing is 52.35%. That's due to the timing of the aquatic center debt service payment. So that's really it on the general fund side. Water and sewer side, charges for service finished the quarter at 53.61, so you'd think that's positive. However, water usage is down 6.1% over that same time frame last year, so we'll see that impact. Fines and forfeitures finished the quarter just 54.79% of budget. Interest income again finishing strong due to rising interest rates. On the expenditure side, again here timing of the workers' comp insurance premium in the employee benefits category, and then insurance premiums, liability insurance premiums in the other contracted services. So then the other financing uses you see here, that variance is due to the timing on the other side of the administrative fee from the water and sewer to the general fund. Looking at pension investments, on the police side, average portfolio balance $44.4 million. Fund had investment income through the second quarter of $2.8 million. Gives us an annualized return of 12.52, 12-month rolling return of 12.17, and a 36-month rolling of 6.67. As a point of reference, our actuarial assumption is 7% here. On the fire side, average portfolio of $34.3 million. Fund had investment income of $2.1 million through the second quarter. Gives us an annualized return of 12.18, 12-month rolling average of 13.76, and a 36-month rolling average of 7.28. So you can see we're outperforming our benchmark over the last 3 years, which is incredible. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions from the trustees?
What-
Trustee
Do we
Bomas?
know when the the water park is supposed to be? Do we have an idea yet or anything?
They're currently taking reservations for September, starting in September. So now we think they built in a little push on that, but that's when you can reserve online is September. So,
But June is anticipated soft open?
So.
Yeah.
Soft opening. That's about when the water will start flowing again there?
Yeah, that'll help, yeah.
nature.
Staff's doing a yeoman job with the plan review and everything, and keeping up, and I was quite impressed with everything they're going through to make sure that it gets open for Great Wolf, so, and I know they're appreciative too. Other questions on the money? All right. We have no other reports, no old business?
Correct.
To start the new year. So new business. First item is approval of ordinance 2018-01,
Yep.
granting a zoning map amendment pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance for 6261 Washington Street. Petitioners are here.
Sure.
But Patrick will introduce it, and
Yeah, I'll give you a quick run through, and then we have Tracy Velkova, our planning managers here, and David Ziegler can cover anything that I might miss. So you had a memo in your packet from our associate planner, Clara Schaff. Petitioners are requesting a zoning map amendment to rezone the property at 6261 Washington from R2 PUD to O1 Restricted Office District. It was originally annexed and zoned as a phase of the Southridge PUD, but was never really incorporated into the development as it already had an existing single-family home on it. It's accessed via Washington Street and is surrounded by property that's zoned residential. O1 zoning is intended for small-scale office buildings that can be sited close to residential. However, they're generally located near an intersection or used as a transition from a more intense zoning district to a less intense zoning district. If O1 is applied to this parcel, you do get into the issues of spot zoning, which is a change in zoning applied only to a relatively small area, inconsistent with the surrounding uses and zoning, and also inconsistent with the comp plan. That can get you into some legal issues. Spot zoning is illegal, and it can lead to litigation if granted. It was before the Planning and Zoning Board on December 6th. There were residents in attendance, and also included in your packet with Claire's memo was some emails, 7 emails that we received from residents in the area, and then also a written protest that was signed by more than 20% of the surrounding property owners expressing their displeasure with the request and that they do not agree with it. As it relates to the formal written protest, with that in place, that requires a supermajority of the village board, so 2/3 of the village board vote or more in order for the request to be granted. The Planning and Zoning Board heard the request, as I said, at their December meeting, and heard the residents speak as well. They're forwarding a unanimous unfavorable recommendation. They were concerned over the spot zoning, compatibility with nearby properties, and consistency with the amendment as it relates to the comp plan. So that is what is before you this evening for consideration.
all right. I should let the petitioner. Would the petitioner like to address the board, and then I'll open the floor up to any of the public that wants to comment. So welcome, Mr. Bixler.
I'm actually the owner. My son, because it's emotional for me, is going, and my husband is out of the country, so my
Okay.
son is going to talk on my behalf.
Okay.
This is my realtor, and she has.
Okay.
Okay. My name's Tom Bixler. I'm here. First of all, thank you for giving us this time for the petition. And I just wanted a couple words to say. We have been a proud member of Gurnee for almost 20 years now. Gurnee and Gurnee school districts have a great place to raise, well, not our children, but me. We as a family have developed friendships and memories that will last a lifetime. We have also witnessed a lot of changes to the area in the time we have lived in our home on Washington Street. It is though time for us to move on. Well, this house was a perfect place for us to make a home when we first moved in the area. things have evolved to the point that Washington Street is no longer a friendly place to raise children. Our home's proximity to Washington Street has been consistently cited for potential residents' purchase as the number one reason that they do not wish to pursue the purchase further. Conversely, the proximity of Washington Street has been the number one drive for commercial interest in our property. The zoning of our property as R2 is the single determining factor as why our property has lingered unsold for almost a year. Although it is a home-based business, there is a tax office directly across the street. This speaks to the suitability of our property on Washington Street as a business. When we first put our property on the market, we had a recent appraisal for $275K. That is based on the area of the house multiplied by the local price per square foot on the dwelling with some additions and subtractions to come up with the number. We have continued to drop the price of our house to significantly below the price per square foot of our home. In the surrounding area, according to Zillow.com, the nearby houses have continued to appreciate in value. In the year that we have had our home on the market, we are being compared to smaller houses on smaller lots on slabs in Grandwood Park area, and those are even selling with short life cycles on the market. With Gurnee real estate inventory levels reportedly very low, 1.3 acres on a full basement with 1,600 square feet should be a slam dunk. But here we sit, dropping our price to the point that the only offer we have received in the year started negotiating at the price we paid nearly 20 years ago. That means that our home, being marketed as a home, has not appreciated one dime in the last 20 years. In fact, may have lost value. We cannot know until the home ultimately sells, whether it seems unfathomable in a desired area like our beloved Gurnee. The rest of this is...
We've been on the market for...
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Robin Bernhardt. We've been on the market for a year. We've had one offer. It was somebody who wanted to put in a insurance company, which I think probably would have been ideal. We just do not have people wanting to put a residence there. It's too close to Washington. Washington now is 4 lanes. It's extremely busy. People worry about their pets and their children, and it's hurting the sellers. We just can't get the home sold. And like Tom said, if we sold it at a bargain basement price, but then we'd be looking at a short sale. So it's really, it's not going to, in my opinion, go residential. It's going to just sit.
Okay, thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right, thank you.
Just for the record, my understanding is a home-based business would be allowed as long as the business owner occupies the home as a residence as well as operating a business. So the change in zoning would be strictly a business, no residential. Do we have members of the public that would like to address the board on this matter? We do have...
Yeah, we have all the minutes
Yeah, we
and
have all
the
the minutes.
correspondence. So this is,
Correspondence.
the public hearing's done, and typically the petitioner, because they received an adverse vote at the Plan Commission, and oftentimes we give the petitioner an opportunity to kind of have the last word now that you knew the outcome of the hearing. But if there are any other concerned residents, your comments are part of the record and have been will be considered by the board. So, generally speaking, unless there are any questions, I can just remind the trustees. Pat mentioned this, but anytime greater than 20% of the adjacent property owners sign a written protest, that heightens the requirement for making a zoning change. And so there would need to be a 2/3 vote on this. Also, just as a point of reference, because the petitioner has made this request, we always state the ordinance in the affirmative to provide, at least in theory, what the petitioner's asked for. So when you do call this for a vote, if you're in favor of the rezoning, you would vote yes. If you're opposed to the rezoning, you'd have to vote no. But I just want to make sure that that's, everyone understands that, because I know you've read the report that the zoning board actually passed on an unanimously passed on an unfavorable recommendation.
And supermajority is 5, right?
Correct.
5 affirmative. Does staff have any questions for Tracy or David? All right, do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2018-01 granting a zoning map amendment?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Jacobs, second by trustee Balmas. Roll call, please, Andy.
Garner.
Nay.
Balmas.
Nay.
Hood.
No.
Thorstensen.
No.
Jacobs.
Nay.
Ross.
Nay.
6 nay.
All right, the motion does not carry for the rezoning. It can't be brought back.
Not in the next year.
Yeah, so once the board votes and because the planning commission is just a recommendation, once we vote, it can't be reconsidered for this for 1 year. So something else would have to be brought forward other than the rezoned office. Okay. Trustee Ross?
Just as a suggestion, I don't know, since so many of the neighbors said they like the area, maybe to approach the park district and see if they might be interested in purchasing it to continue it to be a park. Oh.
Thank you.
All right, I strongly suggest that you meet with staff. They may have some suggestions too that would, be complementary to the neighborhood. They know the zoning ordinances very, very well. So I would spend some time meeting with David or Tracy and see what their suggestions are. I appreciate it's been sitting on the market and it is a very intense street now. So we're more than happy to sit and meet. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item number 2, which is approval of ordinance 2018-02, adopting a policy prohibiting sexual harassment for the village of Gurnee.
Sure. So the state implemented a Public Act 100-0554, which amends the State Officials and Employees Ethics Act, which also contains a section that pertains to government entities. It mandates that all governmental units adopt within 60 days of the effective date of the Public Act ordinance or resolution establishing a policy prohibiting sexual harassment. The Illinois Municipal League went ahead and took a look at the act and developed a model policy that communities could use. We had an anti-harassment policy in place for over 20 years that addressed multiple forms of harassment, including sexual harassment, just not to the degree that the state public act is requiring. So we took a look at what the IML drafted and our policy and incorporated the Illinois Municipal League sexual harassment policy, so updated ours to meet the intent of the act. So Christine worked with our labor attorney, took a look at it. It was fine. So we've got that implemented, and then if this is approved, we'll obviously get it out to all the employees and then schedule some follow-up training to make sure everybody's aware of our policy and how they need to behave in the workplace.
All right, questions? We have Christine here tonight, too. If anybody has a question about the new policy. It applies to us, too, right?
Yep.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Ross. Roll call, please, Andy.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, item number 3, approval of 2018 trick-or-treating hours, Saturday, October 27th, from 2 to 5 p.m. anybody's here to talk about this.
You can ask.
All right, before I call for a vote, is there any residents that want to comment on this? Otherwise, we're going to take a vote and put it behind us and move on. All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Garner, second by trustee Jacobs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, we have 2 nays. Everybody else, including myself, is affirmative. Does that help with the minutes? All right, and we will, again, put the word out multiple times between now and October, so hopefully no one is surprised this year. All right, that's the end of our new business. I'll reopen the floor for public comment. Anybody would like to address the board? The boys look like something's right on the tip of their tongue. Ooh, we already took the vote. All right, then if there's no other public comment, then do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Garner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.